The ticking isn't just mechanical, it's political, strategic, existential. For years, a single agreement stood like a threadbare rope across a chasm of distrust. The Iran nuclear deal, formerly known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JCPOA. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't permanent, but it was something, and now it's fraying. To understand its significance, we must rewind decades back into the pages of nuclear history. Ironically, Iran's atomic ambitions were first nurtured not by defiance, but by American encouragement. In the 1950s, under the Atoms for Peace initiative, the United States helped Iran begin a nuclear program meant for peaceful energy, but revolutions have a way of rewriting destinies. And after 1979, secrecy cloaked Iran's nuclear intentions like a desert storm. Western intelligence grew uneasy. Whispers of hidden enrichment plants, stockpiles of uranium, and spinning centrifuges fed fears that Iran wasn't just seeking electricity, but a bomb. The phrase breakout time entered the global vocabulary, the time Iran would need to build a nuclear weapon once it decided to do so. At one point, that window was measured in mere weeks. With the stakes escalating, global powers stepped in. The P5+1, the US, UK, France, China, Russia, and Germany entered a diplomatic labyrinth. There were years of secret talks, shuttle diplomacy, and late-night strategy rooms. On one side stood diplomats like John Kerry. On the other, Iran's Javad Zarif. Between them, mutual suspicion and the shadow of war. And then on July 14, 2015, after years of painstaking negotiation, a breakthrough, the JCPOA. It was dense, technical, and historic. Iran agreed to slash its enriched uranium stockpile by 98%. It dismantled two-thirds of its centrifuges. Enrichment was capped at 3.67%, far below weapons grade. A reactor in Arak was redesigned to prevent it from producing plutonium. In return, sanctions relief. Billions in frozen assets returned, oil exports restored, the door to global trade at least slightly ajar. But the deal's true power lay in its visibility. The IAEA, the world's nuclear watchdog, was given near unprecedented access. Inspectors visited sites daily, cameras rolled 24/7. If Iran tried to cheat, the world would likely know. And yet, even before the ink dried, critics circled. Israel called it a historic mistake. Gulf nations feared a strengthened Iran. American hardliners decried sunset clauses, warning the deal merely delayed the inevitable. Others complained it ignored missiles, militias, and Iran's regional ambitions. Still, for a moment the world exhaled. The bomb was farther away. Then came May 8, 2018. President Donald Trump stood at a podium and announced what many feared. America was pulling out. The JCPOA, he claimed, was fatally flawed. Sanctions returned, and with them, economic ruin for Iran. Oil exports plummeted, inflation soared, and in Tehran, patience wore thin. Iran responded not with rage, but with a calculated retreat. Step by step, it moved away from the deal's terms. More uranium, higher enrichment, advanced centrifuges spinning once again. The message was clear: if the West breaks its promise, so will we. Meanwhile, Europe tried to keep the deal breathing. France, Germany, and the UK launched creative solutions like INSTEX to bypass US sanctions. But without access to American markets, their efforts faltered. China and Russia voiced support, but geopolitical winds were shifting. Then came a new White House. President Joe Biden signaled openness to return, but not without conditions. Indirect talks began in Vienna. Hope flickered, but progress stalled. Iran demanded total sanctions relief. The US wanted guarantees Iran couldn't offer. Trust, once fragile, was now shattered. Complicating matters further, the US refusal to remove the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps from its terror list. Iran's refusal to discuss its ballistic missiles or regional policies. And behind it all, a clock still ticking. As diplomacy faltered, uranium levels in Iran climbed to 60%, perilously close to weapons grade. IAEA cameras were turned off, access denied, the veil had returned. Today, the JCPOA stands in limbo, neither alive nor dead, and four stark futures loom on the horizon. Scenario 1, a fragile return. Diplomats pull off a miracle, concessions are made, trust painfully rebuilt. Iran rolls back its program, the world exhales, again, but many flaws remain, unresolved. Scenario 2, endless stalemate. No deal, no war, just a slow march toward nuclear capability. Other nations watch, uneasy. Some may decide to pursue weapons themselves. A quiet arms race begins. Scenario 3, a strike from the shadows. Israel, or perhaps the US, launches a military strike. Iran retaliates. The region ignites. Oil prices spike. Civilians suffer. and the nuclear program driven underground only accelerates. Scenario 4, the impossible dream, a comprehensive agreement addressing not just nukes, but missiles, militias, and human rights, a diplomatic Everest, perhaps someday, but not now. The fate of this agreement, of Iran's nuclear ambition, ripples far beyond the Middle East. If the JCPOA collapses entirely, it threatens the entire global non-proliferation regime. It challenges US credibility, it emboldens Russia and China, it destabilizes markets, and it risks a nuclear flashpoint in one of the world's most volatile regions. What happens next? The world is watching.